Hello, everybody. This is Megan,
And this is Alana.
and welcome to Tea Time Crimes. Hello, welcome to Tea Time Crimes. If you're joining us for the first time, we never explained this show. If you're joining us for the first time, Alana does not know what's about to happen. She never knows what's about to happen.
And I drink tea. And that's the
and
end.
the only reason she's here is because she brings her tea for comfort and tells us what she's drinking. An always in-depth and comprehensive tea review. And in order to keep her here, I try to keep it from the woman's point of view, and I earmuff her for anything that's on her do not hear list. So welcome.
One of us likes true crime and one of us do not.
Yeah. But we like each other, so we're here. She's a trooper.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. She seemed super confident about that. About her like for me. She's like, yeah, well, you're okay. I'm here and you're fine. You're adequate.
Look at my I keep restructuring my setup here, and the recording light is now flipped up, so I have a demonic red light painting my face.
You look beautiful as always.
I think it really goes with the theme of the podcast.
Yeah. Hey, do you want to talk about how you threw me under the bus this week on social media? It just really set me up for
I think you did that to yourself there, bud. That was all you. I'm like, oh, let me share this hilarious reel, which we talked about last week, where the whole ventriloquist thing. So
yeah, I'm
one
scared
of
of
the
ventriloquist
funny
dummies,
people I follow was I just looked at one of his stories and he was talking like a ventriloquist. So I sent it to Megan, of course. And then what did you do there instead of like responding normally?
Well, grandma over here watched it. It was 3 a.m. I had a bout of insomnia. You know, I just had some tapioca pudding and a warm glass of milk, like an 80-year-old. Just kidding.
Oh my God.
I didn't. I hate pudding. And then I'm watching it and I respond back to what I think is responding back to Alana. And so in all caps, stop it. And then realize I've responded back to this gentleman, which I didn't realize was possible. I didn't know that it would open up his reels. And then I panicked but was grateful that I hadn't wrote anything else because it was possible I could have gone, said worse things. And then I had to apologize to this stranger. And I said, I'm so sorry.
You should just leave.
No, I was like, I'm so sorry. That was an accident. Please don't stop anything on my account. Live your life, sir. I apologize.
No.
Yeah.
I feel like that made it worse.
Probably,
stop,
yeah.
And then I thought a funny thing, like, oh my God, stop.
I know. And then, and then I made it. It probably could have gone under the radar, and then I made it worse. And I was like, oh my God, it's 3:15 in the morning. I shouldn't be allowed to use my phone unless I have all my cognitive abilities and somebody supervising.
Yep.
And he did not respond. And I apologize, sir. I don't even know his name, but Alana likes his stuff.
He's hilarious. I completely forget his username, so that's not helpful to him.
Hold on, I can check because you know why? It's in my direct messages. And I literally only have direct messages to you and this gentleman because I don't do it. I'm David Michael Burke. I apologize.
Look him up. He's really funny. Guess we're going to tag him on this episode too.
Yeah. Keep living your life, sir. Don't listen to me and my sleep-deprived brain at 3 a.m.
More ventriloquist humor for Megan, please.
No, I am good though. I thought I was yelling at you. Because that's why I'm actually glad I didn't say something like, stop it, you're the worst. You know what I mean? If I had gone off on you and he would have gotten it. All I said, I think I looked now, all I said was stop. So anyway, yeah. Thank you for that.
You're welcome.
Yeah, nothing like you're like the pit of your stomach just dropping out when you realize you've messaged a total stranger by accident.
I mean, imagine the shit he gets though. Yeah.
I know, but I didn't want to be one of those. I didn't want to be one of those trolls that, they talk about.
Oh my God. I don't think you were even close to that line there.
I thought I was crossing the line. I should not be informing this gentleman how to do anything. Anyway.
Oh, boy.
Yeah.
Oh, boy.
Computers just get me into trouble. God. And the newfangled gadgets.
Yikes.
I really am nervous for the next 20 years because I am barely hanging on.
Oh, yeah. Wait till I get to like holographic stuff.
Yeah, I should be in the thick of it, and I am barely hanging on already. So, I mean, fast forward 20, 30, 40 years, forget about it.
Yeah, forget
about it.
I mean, I can't even do the TikToks. I'm just not going to download it.
Well, the difference is if you chose to, you could do it.
I guess.
If I chose to, you and I both know it would be camera wrong way. It would be my carpet. It like from all the accidental selfies I've sent you over the years.
You never send me those anymore. I really miss those.
They still happen. Like an alarmingly high amount of time, I take a picture of my nostrils or my eyebrows by mistake, totally by mistake. I don't even know how it happens. Sometimes complete videos, and Alana thinks they're gold.
Oh, they're great.
Enough about grandma. What's new with you?
I think a whole lot of nothing. Just living the dream as usual.
All right, cool.
But I do have a tea.
Well, that's your part of the show, ma'am.
Have you heard of
You are
tea
the tea times. You want to bring it for us?
Would you like it in French or English?
Always. I used to say English, but now always French. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Oh, interesting. I just put something together, okay? But first I'll say the title.
Great.
Thé de moi.
Tea of me?
Guess what that means?
My tea?
Mons. Okay. The English translation is Tibetan Monks Tea. I don't think Tibetan is in the title. But you know the city Des Moines?
Yeah.
I think that means monks.
What? I'm sorry. I feel like you took a couple of turns without me. What are you saying right now?
Thé, like tea in French. De, D-E-S. Don't you not say the S in French? Moine.
Oh my gosh. I hate when you're ridiculous and then you're right. I'm looking it up now. Des Moines is the French name for River of the Monks.
Yeah. Look at that, baby. Look, this brain can put stuff together.
Yeah, I mean, you're a genius. It takes you a minute, but you arrive at geniushood.
Geniushood. Sounds weird. I'm not going to say the rest in French because that's too hard. So it's a Tibetan Monks Tea, black and green teas, a floral Tibetan blend.
Black and green together?
Inspired by a Tibetan recipe. This rare blend has a unique floral flavor.
Hit that you.
Got that you. Yeah. It is a mix of green and black. I didn't put any milk in it, and I didn't even bring milk to the table. So I'm assuming it's stronger on the green side, or maybe the green will temper it. I don't know.
Yeah, this is a weird blend.
Okay, immediately it's like if flowers had fists and punched me in the nose.
So if you were a flower.
No. I'm bending over to smell flowers in a field, okay?
No, but I'm saying if you'd be an aggressive flower if you were.
Oh, sure, yeah. Got it. Yeah.
No, I'm bending over. You idiot.
Get the analogy. Yeah, all I'm getting is it's strong floral, and it's like more on the rose side of floral. It's not like a sharp floral. It's a rose, sweet floral.
Gotcha. I was going to ask, is it rosy?
It's warm.
Cool. I wasn't kidding when I said comprehensive earlier.
It kind of just like it's there and then it just bleeds out real quick and you're like, what
Bleeds
just happened?
out?
Yeah.
I feel like your tea reviews have become more violent as these episodes have progressed.
It's your fault.
Yeah, I know. Sorry.
It's like heavy. Like I think there's a decent body to it because of the black tea.
Yeah, there is.
It's like a heavy, I think it's like a dead body. It's heavy, boom,
Whoa.
and then it disappears and bleeds out.
Then it turns into a ghost?
No, it's still bleeding. Yeah, you can feel it down the throat.
Okay.
So it's just kind of like a dead body that's slipping away.
This is super weird.
Physically, not spiritually. Spiritually, we're not sure what's going to happen yet at this point. So,
okay.
But yeah, I taste the same thing I smell. There's nothing like new to it. It's really hard for me to taste the actual tea underneath it because the floral is so strong. It's all right. I would like it to hold up a little bit better or to be more delicate. Like go one way or the other. They tried to do both and it didn't work for me. I'm going to still enjoy it on a cold day, but it's not my go-to, even though it's a cool name.
Gotcha. So you don't want it to decompose in your mouth.
Correct.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
All right. Can we get a rating?
I guess a bloody thumbs down.
Ooh. All right then. I didn't know. I thought maybe you'd give it a sideways thumb. But
I know that's where I'm in between. Like, how do you really choose? I guess if a strong the double thumbs down was that cold brew tea.
Yeah, don't
go die.
Talk about cold brews.
And so this is lingering between sideways and down. Again, it's just they tried to do too much and then they were left with just a corpse. But if you want a nice warm cup of tea, it does the job.
Great. So if you're looking for heat, if you're literally just looking for warm water, this is the tea for you.
Yeah, exactly.
Glowing
that's the
review.
That's the first thing I felt, and so go with that.
Okay. All right then. Okay, ready to jump into it for today?
If it's nice.
It is not. Now, most people tell this story a bit backwards, but I want to tell it a little different because, as I mentioned before, I really try to tell it from the woman's point of view as much as I can.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to start in a different place than you've probably heard this story before, except for everyone but Alana.
Okay. Like, I don't think I've heard it.
Yeah, every story is new to her. Even like famous ones. Who's Lizzie Borden? She doesn't know. Now she does. So Reyna Marroquín was born in El Salvador in 1941. And she was the oldest of 4 children. She grew up in a small town where her father was actually the mayor. And her sister said she was a wonderful big sister. She was sweet. She was happy. She was just a kind person. You have a question, ma'am.
I have a declaration.
Declare.
Well, I guess it's a question. Did you know that her name means queen?
Reyna?
Mm-hmm.
I didn't.
Yeah.
Her middle name is Angelica.
Wow, Queen Angel.
Yeah. So Reyna grows into a beautiful woman. She has this beautiful, long, flowing black hair and high cheekbones, and she's got this beautiful smile. She's smart. She loves to read. She's also really curious.
If you're setting her up like this, she's going to die.
And after graduating high school, she stays at home with her parents. She lives at home, and she gets a job as a housekeeper. So I'm willing to bet she's also hardworking.
Mm-hmm.
And during this time, she becomes engaged to a man named Carlos. And they have a simple, basic ceremony, which is surprising to me because Reyna is Catholic, and she's also the oldest daughter. So you'd think that they would have a traditional Catholic wedding.
Yeah.
But they don't, which I think might be maybe a little red flag because as soon as they get married, there's trouble because Carlos won't move in with Reyna. So I don't know the details. I don't know if Reyna was still living with her parents at the time or they were looking for a place. I assume he was probably stringing it along for a little bit with excuses as to, waiting for the perfect arrangement or something. But eventually, Reyna finds out that the reason Carlos won't move in with her is because he's already living with another woman.
Second life.
He either has children or she's pregnant or both at the time.
How do people do this? I don't get it. I would never be able to handle this. Ever.
Right. So Reyna's heartbroken and she gets a divorce. I don't know how she felt. We can only guess, but heartbroken was the only adjective used. But I would guess that as a Catholic woman, divorce was still...
There's a lot of shame.
Yes, divorce was still iffy in the 90s,
Yeah.
when I was bebopping around. So I imagine in the 60s, it was also really tough. After this happened, I assume this was a catalyst, decided that she was going to go to New York City. And she wanted adventure. She wanted to create her own life. She wanted something different. And she obtained a visa, and a family in Larchmont, which is outside of Manhattan, they sponsored her, and she was their live-in nanny housekeeper, and she arrived in New York in 1966. I don't know the details of everything that went on during that time, but in the summer of 1967, Reyna wrote a letter home. She wrote lots of letters home all the time, and she would always send money. Her goal was to become a U.S. citizen. She wanted to bring her mother over with her, and she would always send money back to her family. So in 1967, she writes a letter home to her mother, and she's apologizing because she's changed addresses a couple times. Oh. And she says it's because it's hard. I can't even begin to imagine. It's hard to find a place to live in New York City. Plus, if she's there on a visa, there's a lot of rules and regulations that you have to follow in order to keep that sponsorship, right? So she finally is set up at a Catholic residency for women, and it's a single room. It's got a window, a closet, a bed, a chair. That's it. And then I assume everything else is shared space.
It's like a nunnery.
And she pays $13 a week for that.
Okay.
Now, she has a job. She works at Melrose Plastic Company. It's a factory. And she makes $55 a week.
Okay.
So in a letter home to her mother, she says, "I'm sorry, I'll send more money next time, but I've enclosed $40. And she said she had to pay rent. And then she also bought clothes this time around. She really loves fashion, but she probably also needed clothes. And so she says, I'll send more next time. But she encloses $40 and sends it along.
That's a lot for
I know.
What she's living on.
I know, exactly. And in a letter that she writes to her mother later, and this is a quote, "Mom, don't worry about me. God is taking care of me. Every Sunday I go to Mass like you taught me." And she signs it with much kisses and tight hugs. Take care, Reyna.
Are these in English or Spanish?
I don't know how they were written. I read them in the English newspaper.
Well,
I don't know if somebody translated it.
You're suddenly fluent in comprehension in Spanish.
Well, I've hung out with you for a while now, so, picked up your language talents.
Hey, I can speak Spanish, but not French.
Great.
Not French.
Okay. So during this time, Reyna's working in the factory during the day, and she's also taking classes at night. On Monday and Wednesday, Reyna is taking English class. She already knows how to speak English. She knew before she came to New York, but English is hard, right? It has words like yacht and sachet that'll really trip you up.
Yeah, they will.
So she's, right? Hello. So
I'll tell you.
Throwback to a previous episode. So she's, continuing her studies on English. On Tuesdays and Thursdays, she's taking sewing classes. I told you she loves fashion. And on Friday, she takes a class for her U.S. citizenship.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. Here, Reyna becomes friends with one of her teachers. She goes by the name Kathy, last name Andrade. That's not her actual legal name, but everybody calls her Kathy. And Kathy says Reyna was an amazing student. She's one of those students that teachers love to have because she shows up, she's responsible, she's just curious and eager to learn, which is not always the case. And she kind of throws herself into it. And Kathy acts like a mentor to Reyna, helping her get sorted, figure out what you need to do, what the best places in the city are, helping her with her U.S. citizenship. That's what her goal is, to earn that. And they become friendly enough that Reyna confides in Kathy a little bit. So in 1967, Reyna reveals to Kathy that she actually has fallen in love and she has a boyfriend. They spend every Sunday together. And they even go on trips together sometimes. And he's attentive. He's affectionate. He's incredibly generous.
Who is it?
Well, there's a couple of complications. Reyna won't tell Kathy this man's name because he happens to be one of her bosses at the factory.
Oh, that's slightly inappropriate.
And he's married.
Oops.
But he told Reyna that he's no longer living with his wife and that he wants to marry Reyna.
Okay, folks, we're going to stop here for a little lesson. If a married man, I guess, or woman, is telling you this, it's not going to happen. They're not going to leave their current life and wife, okay? They're stringing you along. Cut it out.
Anyway, Kathy said that Reyna seemed happy and was excited. I mean, you can understand, though, people say if they're not living together, you'd say they're separated. And a lot of people start dating when they're separated before they're divorced. And then, like, that relationship continues. So they date for about a year. In 1968, Reyna becomes pregnant.
Uh-oh.
According to Kathy, Reyna was incredibly scared. She thought maybe she should leave town. Maybe she should just get out of New York City. Maybe she should go home. And the word Kathy used to describe how Reyna was feeling was that Reyna felt ashamed, which I can imagine with the combination of being unmarried, Catholic
guilt, right?
Yes, and pregnant by somebody who is technically still married.
Yeah, that's a lot.
That's a lot. Mm-hmm. And she is not set up to take care of a baby. First off, living in a Catholic residency, I am assuming she can't be there and be pregnant, right? So she is really, her whole life is really about to be affected by this in a scary way. But Reyna's boyfriend takes care of this. He rents and pays for a new apartment in New Jersey for Reyna to stay at.
Oh, wow.
Yes, and he takes care of all her expenses, and she stops going to work because she doesn't want anybody to realize that she's pregnant.
Okay.
So he's paying for everything. He even has a private doctor come every other week to check on her and the baby.
Wow, this guy's got some moolah.
I guess. Now, in the winter of 1969, Reyna calls Kathy in a panic.
Uh-oh.
She is nearing the end of her pregnancy. I don't know how long, like, is it been the whole 9 months, or has she just been hidden away in this apartment for the last part of it when she started to show? But she's kind of been a little bit of a prisoner, it seems like. She can come and go, but she doesn't want anybody to see her, right? She really just has her boyfriend.
And you don't even have Netflix.
Reyna found out that her boyfriend was, in fact, still living with his wife.
Oh, shocking.
Reyna picks up the phone, calls the wife, and tells her everything.
Oh, shit.
Now, imagine how that information is hitting Reyna, because she's scared. She's pregnant. She has a baby on the way.
She's almost due.
She's expecting to get married to this man. And second, this must have really ignited some of those old wounds from Carlos, because she has inadvertently done exactly what was done to her. And because she was the wife at home, and there was a pregnant woman across town.
Yep.
And so I'm not sure if there's a part of her, I'm sure she was furious, but I think there was probably a part of her that felt like, I wish somebody had told me, or I'm glad somebody told me.
Got it.
I don't know. I'm making assumptions, but she found herself in the reverse situation, and that always will mess with your mind.
That sucks.
So after Reyna has done this, she immediately regrets it, because her boyfriend is livid.
Oh, God. Lock the doors.
She tells Kathy that he's beyond upset and that he said he was going to kill her. Now, that's a figure of speech, right? People say that. But she's scared enough that when Kathy offers to come over, Reyna jumps at it. She says, "Yes, please come sit with me. I'm very scared." So Kathy's in Manhattan, and she immediately heads out. It's about 10 a.m. in the morning, but she's in Manhattan. Reyna's in New Jersey.
What day of the week is it?
I don't know, actually. It's
like weekend or week? Yeah.
It's a weekday.
Okay.
She's getting to the bus. The bus is late.
Ugh.
And then she gets there, and she's never been there before, I don't believe. So she gets lost.
So
it takes her 2 hours to get there.
Kathy.
When she arrives at Reyna's apartment, nobody answers the door.
No.
And the door is unlocked.
No.
Kathy enters the apartment. She goes in. She finds a single place setting on the table, and there's food on the stove. The stove has been shut off, but the pot is still warm. So Kathy sits down and waits. She, I am sure, is trying to talk herself into some sort of explanation, right? Maybe she ran out to the market to grab something. Maybe
there's no cell phones either.
Yeah. Maybe her boyfriend came by and they made up. Maybe they're out to lunch somewhere. So she waits there for 3 hours.
But Reyna told Kathy what had happened, right?
Reyna told Kathy what had happened, but Kathy still doesn't know who this man is.
Oh, right. Shit.
So after 3 hours, Reyna's still not home. And Kathy just has a really bad feeling. So she goes to the police.
Good.
And she tells the police
Kathy.
what has happened. And the police say, well, she's only been gone for 3 hours. She's an adult. And you're not family. So there's really nothing you can do.
Missing persons have to be missing for what, like 12 or 24 hours or something?
That's what they often say, but it's not 100% accurate.
Okay.
So one of the officers actually says to Kathy, she's probably just gone shopping.
It doesn't make sense if you put the pieces together.
Nope. So Kathy doesn't know what to do. She looked for Reyna herself. She goes to the old residency, the house for women, and she starts asking friends around there, have you seen her? Has she been by here? No luck. She calls the apartment constantly for a week, hoping Reyna will answer, and maybe she just went away for a trip or something. Nope. No answer until after a week. It's just disconnected.
Guys.
Now, meanwhile, Reyna's family in El Salvador has stopped receiving letters. And it's at the start of 1969. They're sick with worry because they know Reyna would constantly write to them. They know something has happened. So they put articles in the papers in El Salvador, and they reach out to every address and every contact they know of Reyna's in New York City.
Yeah.
Any family or friends that are traveling to New York City, they send them with pictures of Reyna to try and see if they can go different places looking for her. The single piece of information that they receive is from somebody Reyna worked with at the factory. That person tells them that the factory coordinated a moving truck to go to the apartment and take all of Reyna's belongings. And that's all that they know.
God.
So Reyna Marroquín has vanished.
I know what happened.
For 30 years, nobody hears a thing about Reyna Marroquín.
What? Wait. What? That's a big time jump.
Yeah. No one ever heard from her again after that day.
Do we canvass the apartment? Like, come on.
There isn't even really a case open about it because they wouldn't let Kathy open up a missing persons report.
But she's a missing person.
I know.
That's stupid.
I know. I mean, people, Reyna is on people's mind, right? People are thinking of her, but nothing is being done in terms of investigating until September 1st, 1999.
Jeez.
The Cohen family in Long Island is getting ready to move. They have sold their house. They're a growing family. They're upgrading. They're excited for the next step. They're doing a final walkthrough with the new owner, and the new owner makes a request. There's a crawl space under the porch,
Oh, God.
And he asks if you can completely clean it out. And Mr. Cohen is like, yeah, sure, he's fine. It's mostly where he stored like lawn furniture and things like that, which he'll be taking with him. But the problem is that when he bought the house, there was a 55-gallon barrel underneath the house, and it's been there since he's been there, and it's too heavy for him to move, so he just left it there.
No.
So Mr. Cohen is like, oh, I have to do this. How am I going to do it? He can't budget it all by himself. So as the movers are there moving his things, he asks them to help. And so together they're able to get the barrel out onto the street. It weighs over 300 pounds, keep in mind.
What?
And they leave it on the curb for sanitation workers to pick up.
Oh my God. Open the fucking barrel.
Mr. Cohen goes about his day, and then when he gets back, there's a note in his mailbox from the sanitation workers, and the barrel is still there. They say, we can't get rid of it. It's too heavy. You're going to have to empty it if you want us to take it.
Got it.
So he's frustrated. You know, moving is super stressful.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
Gets a tool. He hits the barrel. He pops it open and is immediately hit with a terrible, terrible smell.
Throws up. Imagine that. Throw up everywhere.
There's the bottle or the barrel is filled with liquid and something kind of bubbles to the top, and he notices a hand.
What? Wait. Her body is preserved.
He puts the lid back on, and he immediately calls the police.
Yeah, there's your missing fucking person.
And the police this is a weird call. Super weird. This man is, he's basically saying, hey, I'm moving. I've opened a barrel and there might be a person in it. The police aren't like, is this a crank call or is this guy for real?
Right.
And so they show up, but as soon as they see the barrel and open it, they realize what they have here is that there is a body in this barrel. The police, it's so heavy, and they see a hand, they see a shoe, and it's suspended in liquid, so it's really hard to see anything else, and they don't want to disturb it because they want to make sure they're opening it, emptying it in a controlled environment so they can get as much evidence as possible.
Yeah.
So the police load it onto a truck, and they transport it to the medical examiner's office. Everyone collecting evidence needs to wear a gas mask because the smell is so terrible.
Fuck.
And they lay out white sheets on the floor, and then they dump the contents onto the white sheets so that they can collect evidence. And a woman's body is found submerged in the barrel in a green liquid that they can't identify.
They still can't?
The body has been covered with plastic pellets, and they don't know why. They don't know if it was thought to have dissolved the body or to weigh the barrel down.
What a plastic pellet is. Like
it's these little pieces of plastic, these teeny little pieces of plastic that were heavy, almost like it looked almost like pebbles, honestly.
Weird.
But whatever I don't know if it's a combination of the green liquid and the pellets, but the body is not decomposed. Instead, it is mummified.
Oh God, that's my worst nightmare.
So their preliminary observations show that the body is of a young woman, someone who would be in their 20s, and she's wearing a leopard print coat and a dress that make investigators think she's not from the 90s. But if they had to guess, they would say they would put her in the 1960s.
They're right.
They can tell that the body has sustained blunt force trauma to the head. And the woman's front teeth have gold on them. I don't think they were gold. I think like inlays for dental work that had been done. Mm-hmm. This is apparently a common dental technique in Central America in the 60s when they believe this woman to have been alive.
I know exactly what it looks like. Yep.
And it's not something that is commonly done in the United States. So right away they also tip. Yeah, it's a good clue because they're trying to identify who this woman is, right?
Right.
So they're thinking, okay, someone from the 60s, somebody from Central America. Immediately, they're talking to poor Mr. Cohen, who's mortified.
But is it his dad?
The man who found the barrel. No, this is the man who lived in the house who found the barrel.
No, I know. And he bought it from the killer.
Well, he says it's been there the whole 10 years that they have been there. And he says, honestly, the family had talked about how they thought the house was haunted.
Stop.
And as soon as his wife, Mrs. Cohen, finds out about this, she says, I won't spend another night here or out. And they spend the rest of the time until their new house is ready in a hotel.
I'm with her.
Now, Mr. Cohen is cleared, I think, for several reasons, because it's been there the whole time, but also I think he'd be too young since they're trying to place it in the 60s.
Oh, yeah.
So investigators continue trying to gather forensics and evidence. And that's when they find that the woman also is with a second set of bones.
No.
Right? And that they believe that the woman had been 9 months pregnant. They take samples of the pellets. They take samples of the liquid. They're going to try to figure out where they came from. In the barrel, they find green plastic stems, like you would find on fake flowers, and a pocketbook, which includes makeup, and a phone book. But the phone book is beyond damaged by being in the barrel with whatever that liquid was. Still, the investigators are dedicated to trying to recover something from this book because it's really the only lead that they have to possibly identifying who this woman could be. So they put it in a drying machine for days. If they handle it incorrectly, it can destroy the pages. It can remove the ink. It can ruin any leads that might be in there that's hidden between those tiny little pages. It's this tiny little book.
Find Kathy.
So the smell of this book is so strong that no one can even stand to be in the room with it for more than a few minutes.
Do they have like an air freshener?
They wear respirators, gloves, goggles anytime they handle it.
Yeah.
Now, while they're waiting to see what they can recover from the book, because they have to be patient, they search missing persons. Nothing. No missing persons.
Because they didn't even allow her to lodge it at all.
Exactly. Nothing matches the description. They don't really know where else to go. Eventually, the book is dried out enough so that they are able to use what is called a VSC, a video spectral comparator, and it uses infrared light so that you can see writing that's been doctored. Like it could be somebody wrote underneath it and left an impression, and so you wouldn't be able to see it.
Okay.
Or it could be somebody took a check and added an extra zero, and you would be able to tell under this machine that the inks were different.
Okay.
So it really gives you more information than you could just see by looking at it. By the end of September, they're able to see that on the first page there is a number starting with A, and they can read the whole number. And the police believe that this could be an immigration number. So they check the immigration records. And on September 29th, police are then positively able to identify the body as Reyna Angelica Marroquín.
Oh, God.
But the contact information they have for her is no longer relevant. So they have her name and they have her visa photo, but that's it. They don't know if she has family here. They don't know who they could possibly contact. The forensics team continues to work. They are going through that book with as much energy as they're spending hours on this. But it's slow going, right? They have to take the book out and flip a page in another room with all this equipment on and then bring it back and study it for hours.
Jeez.
So other detectives go back to the house. Who lived there before the Cohens? There have been 4 owners since 1962.
Jeez.
None of the owners were reported as having a record or any criminal activity, so they don't have any immediate leads. They also focus on the barrel. Who could have had it? Where could they have gotten it? There are numbers on the bottom of this barrel, numbers 36355. They find out that this means the barrel was made in March of 1963. That's the 363, and that it's a 55-gallon drum.
Got it.
Police are able to get their records because the company that manufactured it is actually still in business at the time. And the company tells them that that barrel held chemicals that were used for dyeing or making plastics. And you'll remember Reyna worked at a plastic factory, and she was found with plastic leaves and plastic pellets in the barrel.
Oh, my God.
So, like I said, the poor Cohens are out of the picture, and they talk to the previous owner. And they're curious about him because in 1980, he put an extension over the house that covered up the barrel. And so they're curious about him, and they're asking him about it, and he says, no, I didn't. And they say, yes, you did. I have the paperwork right here. And he says, no, I didn't. And they keep showing him the paperwork, and he explains to them that no. I just brought that screened-in porch up to code. It was already there. It was already there when I moved in, and that barrel was already there when I moved in. And the detectives are like, oh, okay. So who lived there before you? He said, I don't know. It's some man named Howard Elkins. All I know about him is that he worked at a plastic factory.
Oh, you piece of shit.
So that's a solid lead. Meanwhile, the book is they're still working on this book, but it's leading them to so many dead ends because lots of names or numbers are only partial, so they can't do anything with it. If they are able to get an entire name or an entire number, they call it and it's disconnected. I mean, it's been 30 years.
Yeah,
In fact, every single number that they're able to get and they call is disconnected except for one.
Kathy.
Kathy has miraculously lived and kept the same number for 30 years.
That's amazing. Also, her property is probably worth a ton in Manhattan.
As soon as Kathy gets this call and they say, do you know Reyna Marroquín? She starts sobbing. Imagine, she must have been dreading and like waiting for this call all at once for the last 30 years.
Yeah.
And she tells police everything she knows. How Reyna was pregnant, how she was involved with somebody at work. She doesn't know the man's name, and that she searched for Reyna and she had hoped beyond hope that Reyna had just decided to run away.
To go home or something like that.
So obviously the police need to track down Reyna's previous bosses at the plastic factory. You, of course, have Howard Elkins, who was the previous homeowner, but he also had a partner, Melvin Ganton. And they opened the company in 1961, and they made fake flowers and fake trees, things like that. And they sold it in 1971. So they talked to Melvin first. He's super cooperative. He looks at a picture of the barrel and he says, oh, yeah, we use that for dye. It's a green liquid dye that we use to color the leaves and on the trees. He also remembered that Howard Elkins had a girlfriend. He said, yes, he had a girlfriend. She was small, attractive, long black hair, and she had gold on the front of her teeth.
That's her.
Elkins is 70 at the time, in his 70s. Some say 71, 72. He's around that age. He's living in Florida. So detectives go to Florida to talk to him. They go through the same process with him as they did with Melvin. They show him a picture of the barrel. He says, no, we never used a barrel like that.
Yeah, you're full of shit, bro.
They show him the dye. He said, I've never seen that kind of dye. And so everything they're showing him that Melvin has already confirmed, he's saying no. He's denying it. And then they say, did you have a girlfriend? And he shocks them by saying, yes, I did. So now they're spinning. They're like, okay, you've lied about everything up till now because we can verify Melvin's facts. Now you're saying you did have a girlfriend. So they're like, okay, tell us about her. He cannot remember one thing about her. They were saying, what was her name? I can't remember. How tall was she? I don't know. What color was her hair? I can't remember.
No.
Which is ridiculous. You would absolutely remember.
Obviously.
So they ask, well, who's in the barrel? And he says, I don't know. So the police say, we'd like a DNA sample to rule you out. He refuses. And he asks them to leave.
Don't they have enough evidence? Like he lived there, all the things to arrest him?
The police are required to leave when they're asked. But before they do, one of the detectives stands up and says, we're leaving, but I want you to know that I'm going to get a warrant and I will be back. And I will arrest you for this. I'm paraphrasing, but he essentially like fed him up intense line. And he left. Now, the next day, Howard Elkins is reported missing.
Yeah.
His body is discovered in his friend's garage.
With the car on.
And he has died by suicide. Yeah. He shot himself.
Oh, jeez.
So Howard Elkins is now out of the picture, but they're able to gather DNA.
Yeah. Which
they do. Now, the fetal tissues have been degraded due to the conditions of being in the barrel. So they have to use something called, it's PCR. It stands for polymerase, I think, polymerase chain reaction. Might be saying that wrong. But it's a technique that they use to enhance or amplify the DNA that they have from the fetus that will allow them to get a strong enough sample so that they then can compare it.
Yeah.
That takes some time. They start that process. At this point, police believe that Elkins went to Reyna's apartment that day and willingly got her to leave for some reason because there was no signs of a struggle in the apartment because Kathy had seen it.
Mm-hmm.
Then took her to the factory, they believe, and struck her from behind with a hammer, probably 7 to 10 times. Then he put her body in the barrel along with her pocketbook, and they think he brought it home and then filled it with 200 pounds of those plastic pellets. And they don't know why. They think that he probably thought he was going to put it in water and he thought that would weigh it down, but it made it so heavy that he couldn't move it to get it to the water. That's what they think happened.
Okay.
That's their theory. The DNA is going to take some time. Meanwhile, the police have to find Reyna's family if they can in El Salvador.
Yeah.
So they send a reporter Oscar Corral to help them find the family, and he travels to the small town and he just starts knocking on doors.
Oh, good man.
And he actually finds Reyna's mother, who is celebrating her birthday. And he shows a picture of Reyna, and her mother just starts sobbing.
I cannot imagine.
I cannot. And Oscar tells her what has happened, and she starts crying harder. And she said for years, she had a dream that Reyna was in a barrel falling down a waterfall.
What?
I mean, you just connected. And she told Oscar that the only thing keeping her alive at that point, because she's well into her 90s, was wanting to know where her daughter was. So after the Marroquín family finds out where Reyna is and what happened, they want to bring her home immediately.
Yeah, of course.
So in October of 1999, Dora Marroquín, Reyna's younger sister, sets out to New York. She's going to claim the body, bring her sister home, along with her unborn child. Now, when she gets there, after hearing what has happened, the funeral home and the airline have paid for all the expenses.
Oh, that's really cool.
Yeah. And so Reyna could have a proper funeral and be buried next to her brother and father. So as soon as that happens, this is so sad. A month later, Reyna's mother also passes away. And she's buried right next to her daughter and what would have been her grandson.
God.
Now, in January of 2000, the DNA test results come back. Elkins has a 99.9% probability of being the father of Reyna's child. So police are pretty confident that that's exactly what happened. And instead of facing what he had done, he took his life.
I hope he suffered every day of his life after that.
Well, that's what the police said. They said this man lived his life for 30 years with a large portion of that with Reyna's body and his own child's body underneath his house where his family lived.
Did they not talk to his wife? Where's that thread?
They did, but they ruled her out of any knowledge, and that his family has refused. They won't talk to anybody.
Okay.
They're not interested in any of this. Now, Reyna is finally brought home. She is laid to rest with her family. And the forensic team still has the notebook, right? The address book that is evidence. And the last thing they find in that book, it's a small note folded between the pages. And in Reyna's handwriting, it reads, "Don't be mad. I told the truth."
What?
She must have written it to Howard. He must have thrown it in with her purse.
God, I wish instead of Kathy going to her, she had gone to Kathy.
I know. I wonder if you really got her out of there. Because Kathy also mentioned that Reyna's winter coat, it was cold, it was winter, it was January, winter's coat was still hanging up. She was found with that leopard print coat on.
Mm-hmm.
But I wonder what he would have done to get her out of the apartment.
Could have threatened her.
Yeah, I was going to say, he could have threatened her.
I'll hurt you or the baby if you don't come with me.
Yeah.
I could totally see her going then.
Yeah. I don't know what his original plan was. Was he just planning on keeping her hidden forever?
Maybe he didn't have a long-term plan. But yeah, maybe it was something like that.
It's just so sad. I mean, there's several pictures of her. There's just something about her face that is kind of haunting. She's just so beautiful and she looks so kind, and she was just wanting to make something for herself. Like that was her own.
Yeah.
And he just took it all from her, and he killed his own child.
Yeah. That guy is awful.
And he struck her from behind. Ugh. I wonder how terrifying. Some people can keep it hidden until that moment, but I wonder, he had her pretty much locked up away from everybody. So there's that kind of controlling behavior you're seeing already. I wonder how terrifying that relationship was prior to that moment.
Yeah, right. Like I was just thinking that. I don't know. What was it like? I wish she had told Kathy more.
I don't know that even with the name, I don't know if Kathy could have done anything at that time. I mean, it was, and you have to wonder, I mean, why wasn't there a missing persons report done? Was it because she
That's what I'm
was
saying.
here
Like,
on
it
a
doesn't matter if
visa?
she's
Like, why?
family or not.
What was going on there that you couldn't, that couldn't have been done? Because it would have been pretty easy to unravel that in 1960s,
Right.
1960, whenever it was, 1968,
Mm-hmm.
1969, because the moving van that came and took all her stuff was from the company.
Yeah.
I'm just glad she has a name. She's out of
Yeah.
that. She's laid to rest.
It's horrific.
And, you know, her family has answers. And
Right.
even though it was the wrong answer they wanted, at least her mother had that. That was what was keeping her going.
Yeah.
And she died when
Yeah.
I think she was 94, 95. The
Wow.
records vary. She could finally just rest with her daughter.
Yeah.
And so she still has siblings
Mm-hmm.
that, you know, and she still has family around. But that's the story of Reyna Marroquín. So what are your final or your last words?
I just thinking, like, it's so easy to classify other people, like box them into a certain, like, this is what you are. You are this. Like, just put people in a box and just like, this is all you are. I can label you and dehumanize you and treat you how I want to treat you because this is your label. And it's like every person is a whole person with parents, friends, loved ones, dreams, hopes, fears, you know, trauma, the whole package. And it's just like start seeing people as whole people, not just the side you might see them at work or, you know, at the park or whatever, you know, interface you have with them. It's these police officers who refuse to open a missing persons. Like, why? Is it because this was just another, you know, migrant, or this was just another person and she's probably just like, you know, gone somewhere? It's like, see everybody as whole people, and, you know, maybe there's just a little bit less violence and I don't know, apathy towards them. It's just,
Yeah.
it's easy to do and we all do it, but it's just practicing not doing it.
Yeah. Yeah, a lot could have been done for Reyna right then and there.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if it could have been prevented.
Yeah, I don't know. But even with him, like, she's not just your, like, you know, side piece.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
She has parents. She has a baby that she wants to take care of. She has this whole plan for her future.
Mm-hmm.
Calm the fuck down. You made a mistake. Own it.
Yeah, and your wife already knows. So
yeah, that's the thing.
I mean, come on. Poor baby.
Yeah, it's really shitty.
Yes. So that story starts, if you've heard it already, it usually starts with the barrel being opened.
Okay.
And then working backwards, which I understand, but like, you know, I really wanted to try to tell it from
humanize her
because she has a name, you know.
Right. She's a whole person.
Yeah. All right, who should listen today?
Mothers and sisters and neighbors and coworkers and friends, police officers, and I don't know, New Yorkers and New Jerseyans.
Yeah. And you can find us on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram. Don't worry, Alana runs that stuff, so no problem me messing that up. You can find us at
Tea Time Crimes.
You can email us at
teatimecrimes@gmail.com.
Yes, and please show your support by leaving a review or sharing the show. Everything that you guys do is really appreciated, and it means a lot to us. And you can find us anywhere that you listen to your podcasts.
Yeah.
Anything else, Alana?
No.
Cool. All right, then we will talk to you next week. Thank you for listening. Bye.
Bye.